Hey everybody, it's Jermaine here. Welcome to our Monday training call. You guys are in for a treat. We've got none other than Mr. Derek Dressler from Chi-Town, Chicago, doing the training today on in-home presentation. This guy consistently does 25, 30, 35, and I'm hoping $40,000 a month. And I know he's hoping 40 as well. And so he's just going to be talking about in-home training, and we'll get into that in a minute. Couple quick announcement before we get to that. As always, I want to highlight our Facebook group. If you haven't already joined, make sure you do. It's FFL, the Impact Agency, our team page on Facebook. And this is where you're going to get access to the latest and the greatest as far as different announcements, training. See Patricia on here killing it today. She's got 13 appointments booked already for the next 2 days, and the day's not even done yet. And then we're always posting training calls in the group, and the training reminders in the group. We're always giving that acknowledgement. Congratulations, Randall, for his first policy sale.
Absolutely did.
Somebody doesn't know how to use the mute button. Let's make sure we use the mute button, guys. All right, and so, yeah, make sure you jump in here into the Facebook group, and make sure, I like this, Judy, make sure we're congratulating each other. We want to be a team that celebrates each other, because it's hard work out there in the field. It could be a lonely job, so to speak. And then also Renee had her first sales as well. So congratulations to her. This is our weekly calendar. So make sure you're checking this stuff out. We have live dial-in on dial days. So if you're new, you can listen to those. Perfect timing, Gio, with the peace sign. Oh man, there's an entertainer. So just some great content in here. There's Renee right there. And then we have the different units. Real quick, let me scroll up. If you go to units here, we have the training calls, our issue paid numbers, so you can kind of see your ranking. And as a matter of fact, I was going to go into that, but what I'm going to go into instead is into our top 10 so far. And I think it should be under our images section. Hold on a second. This worked a lot easier when I did it earlier. Okay, see all, that's what I'm trying to do. Perfect, here we go. So this is our top 10 for the first 2 weeks. We got Gabe at 11,227. So great job, Gabe. Peter at 10,000 even. All right, good job. Derek, who's training today, 9,701. That's just for 2 weeks, and the month's not over yet. We'll have week 3 numbers. Sam, 9,672. Sam did a travel trip, and he's actually doing a travel trip to Hawaii next month. So if any of you want to go to Hawaii and run appointments and write the trip off, I'll give you Sam's number so you can find out all the details on how he does that. I just let Camilla in. And then Lauren, 8,643. Eddie, setting up for a big month, 8,070. Andre, 7,369. Chris, 7,214. Good job. Patricia right here, 7,006. Ray at 5,901, and Shalisa at 5,247, and Jeff at 5,160. So great job, guys. Let's run up the score. We're each week we're having new riders. We're increasing our volume each week, and our goal is to get to 350. So make sure if you need help, you're reaching out and you're asking for help. And speaking of help, we've got our knowledge library on our main website, which is the FFLimpactagency.com. So if you scroll down, you could either click the picture or click the link. Both of them get you to the same place, and you have all the tools you need: compensation guides, training station with training videos, lead station with information on leads, what to have when you're on the phone, what to have in your bag when you're going into the house, and what to have in the house. And if you're hiring, what you need to do to hire. So make sure you guys are taking advantage of these and utilizing all these tools that are available. If you see something that needs to be added that you think would be a good addition to any of these, please let us know. It's a team effort, guys. We don't claim to know everything, and so we can definitely use as much help as possible in making sure we have the best opportunity and the best tools available for you to have success in your business. And then finally, we've got a conference coming up next week in Miami and Atlanta. So definitely make sure you make it to one of those events. It's not too late. Those events have been some of the most successful at helping me increase my income. Every year, my income has increased because I've attended the annual sales convention. And so a majority of us are going to be in Miami. This is the agenda. We're all arriving Wednesday night so that we could be there bright and early. Thursday morning, 9 a.m. is when the session kicks off. Actually, 8 to 6 a.m. or 8 a.m. registration. You could get down there to register. And then it's a packed day. Leads, keynote speaker, lunch break, advanced markets as annuities and IULs, how to sell those. And then general session is going to be the top producers that are training hands-on sales training, like what you're going to receive in a moment from Derek. And then same thing Friday, another packed day, general session, lunch break, another general session. Again, general session, hands-on training from top speakers and then top producers, and then keynote speaker. I think at this conference in Miami, they're going to have Eric Thomas, who's a motivational speaker. And then Saturday, schedule is pretty much the same from about 8 to 6. And then the awards ceremony, you don't want to miss. There's a few of us on the team that are receiving awards. Family First Life hands out cash awards, and I think they do watches and rings. Matter of fact, I have a ring and 2 watches that I've earned over my 3-year career, and cash bonuses. I think probably about 5,000-6,000 in cash bonuses that I've earned at different conferences. I've been to 3 of them, and so make sure you stay. It's 8 to 10 p.m. And so then you leave Sunday morning, check out of the hotel. We're staying at the DoubleTree hotel down there in Miami. So it's going to be a great event, and it's going to be just a boost to your business. I mean, it's really like NOS, being able to hit that NOS button, if you know what that is, to kind of, catapult you forward. And then finally, with conference in mind, here's the recommended schedule that we have for this week, right? So this Thursday, we'll have our regular dial day. Friday and Saturday, we run like we normally would. And then Sunday, we'll do a dial day. I'll be dialing this Sunday in the afternoon after I get out of church, normally around 2 o'clock. And I'll be dialing probably for about 3-4 hours to book up my Monday and Tuesday schedule. So that way, Wednesday, I can fly out to conference and I'm not missing any field days. So instead of being in the office on Monday, I'll be in the field Monday, Tuesday, and I'll be dialing on Sunday. That's the only quick little adjustment that I'm making so that I can get out and get to my appointments. And so if you live locally, you could run all 3 days, still dial Sunday. You have 3 run days that week, and be able to make more money before you go on the conference. We're going to be there for 3 days. And so that's going to be 3 days out of the field. And you want to make up for that, make sure you're still getting paid. But the information that you're going to learn at conference is going to enable you to earn a lot of money. So don't neglect that. It's worth the investment. It's a free event, first of all. You just got to cover your accommodations and your transportation and your meals. And it's all a tax write-off. So take full advantage of that tax code that the IRS has set in place for us as business owners. And then this is from our weekly newsletter. If you're not receiving this newsletter every week, check your junk mail. And if you still don't have it, send us an email and we'll make sure we have you on the list, because there's always important announcements coming out in that weekly newsletter. All right, guys, without any further ado, the moment you've been waiting for. I feel like I'm at the MGM Grand about to present heavyweight. Can I say heavyweight? Champion. Derek, just so you know a little bit about Derek. Derek used to be my boss. He was a VP of sales, hired me at 2 different companies, and now we're business partners together. He started with us part-time, and he started with us part-time because he had to replace a 6-figure income in order to make this his full-time job. And so on a part-time basis, he was able learn, the business and understand that, yep, if I were to go full time, I can definitely scale this and be able to, replace the income that I have, a 6-figure income already as a VP of sales, 25 years in sales. And so he was able to make that transition. So any of you that are in that position where you're considering making that same transition, Derek is a good person to talk to, and he's a beast in the house. And so Derek, the floor is yours and the screen is yours as well. Appreciate you being able to share with everybody. You're on mute, Derek. You got to unmute. All right, I'll unmute you. Should see a button on your screen. There you go.
Got it. Can you hear me? Can you see my screen, Jermaine?
Not yet. Let me make sure I made you a host. All right, go ahead.
So you can see it now.
Nope. It worked so smoothly when we tested it out.
We were doing it well. Hold on a second. All right, now you should see it. You got it, Jermaine?
Yep, see your screen nice and clear.
Okay, all right, cool. So yeah, Jermaine kind of explained a little bit about my background and what I'm going to do, guys, is go through my in-home presentation. But before I do that, what I wanted to do is tell you just a little bit about my story. And Jermaine kind of jumped on some of that to begin with. But I do live here in Chicago. We're supposed to get 6 to 8 inches of snow tonight, so that'll make for a fun run day tomorrow. What kind of got me here was I was in the corporate incentive space doing B2B sales. I did it for 20 years, 20 plus. And, I was having a lot of success with it. Jermaine had mentioned that, I was running a couple different sales teams actually, and hired him and, was kind of doing fine. But I would tell you that probably about, I don't know, maybe after that 20th year of doing the same thing and really seeing the writing on the wall with what I was feeling burnout. And I really just kind of was looking for, if I'm going to make a career change, I need to do it soon. And about that time, because I've known Jermaine for about 10 years, but about the time I was starting to feel like, oh, geez, do I want to keep doing the same thing that I've been doing until retirement or whatever. And I started to see Jermaine posting what he was doing with Family First Life, something with insurance. I didn't know what it was. And I reached out and he kind of explained to me, I knew nothing about insurance. All I knew is that I paid for it every 2 weeks out of my paycheck, right, for health insurance. And I had it on my car and my house. That's all I knew about insurance. Never sold it, never worked in the industry, nothing. But after he explained to me a little bit about the opportunity and the huge upside, and just who Family First Life was, I decided to get my license. It was June of 2018. And I'm licensed in Illinois and Indiana, and I think Texas too. I don't run down there, but I have an agent or two down there. So I am licensed in the state. But after I got licensed, I made my first sale in August, and I'll never forget it. And the reason I'm telling you guys this story is that I think you have to, recognize your accomplishments and your wins and the special moments, because this business is going to be tough. It's going to chew you up. It's going to spit you out, and you got to just basically rebound, when you have some of those tough days. But I'll never forget this first sale. It was an Americo Eagle, like $650 annual premium, nothing major. But I remember selling it and thinking, this lady gave me her bank information and her social security number, and I don't know what I'm doing. And 2 days later, I get whatever it was, $400 or $500 deposited into my account. And I thought, okay, I think I can do this. I think I can replicate what I just did, because it wasn't anything special. Like I knew nothing about how to sell in the home per se, because it's not the type of sales that I was in before. Mine was B2B, going to the boardroom, right? And you've got your big fancy presentation, you're, basically working on a sale for like maybe 9 to 12 months, right, before you actually close it. This is a one-stop close, and it's very, very different than what I was used to. But after I, like I said, had some of that experience of that first sale, I decided, that yes, this can replace my income. This can be a career change for me, and I became full-time agent in April of 2019. So that's a little bit of my story. Now, just real quick on my numbers and kind of what I target. I primarily run business in Northwest Indiana. I've just kind of found a sweet spot, in a couple different counties where I've been able to lock out different types of leads, specifically mortgage protection, and some Facebook in that area too. I'll run some of the burbs in Chicago, but that's more secondary. My primary is I tell everybody I go into the home and I get a quick little laugh because it's a corny line, but I say I'm half Hoosier. I don't know if you guys are familiar, but people from Indiana are called Hoosiers. They take pride in it. To me, it sounds kind of like a negative thing, but I always say, hey, I'm half Hoosier because I live in Illinois, but I work in Indiana. But anyway, so my primary focus, again, lead-wise, mortgage protection, mail-in, some final expense, Facebook. My issue paid numbers for 2019, and this is about, when I started in April, so about 9 months production was, I think, right around 187,000. This year, total, it'll be around 350,000. And I would just tell you, what was the difference between 19 and 20? Well, one time, right, because I did it full time, 12 months in 2020, and I only did it for 9 months in 2019. So that's one, but it's also understanding that there is a learning process with being effective, and you're going to get better. You may have a bad day, you may have a bad week, but you're never really going to have a bad month if you stick to the program that we've all had sort of defined for us, and just continue to work, continue to try to, perfect that craft, and you'll see numbers increase. Just to give you a feel for what I spend on leads. And the reason I, throw all these numbers up here is that I just want to give you guys perspective on what I'm doing. And obviously, if you guys have questions at the end here, we can address those. But yeah, I'm spending about 2,000, a little more than that each week on leads, running about 20, 25 appointments. You can see my monthly deposits is around 25,000 pretty consistently, sometimes a little more. Now, what are my goals for this year? Well, hitting Hall of Fame. I kind of, I don't know. I know Jermaine's not a sports guy, so this won't make any sense to him. But there was an old football coach. His name was Bum Phillips, and he coached the Houston Oilers. So this is long story. They're now Tennessee Titans. But anyway, Bum Phillips talked about, his progression as a coach and his team. And he said, we got to talking about the Super Bowl, right? He got to the door, meaning getting close to the Super Bowl. He got closer the following year and knocked on the door. He said, next year, I'm going to knock it through. I'm going to kick it down. And that's kind of how I feel Hall of Fame is for me this year. I kind of got a feel for it my first year. I got kind of close, in 2020, 2021, I'm going to pound it down. And believe me, there's going to be a lot of other people doing the same thing because we're seeing what it takes. We're seeing what other people are doing consistently week in and week out to achieve these crazy numbers. I mean, 400,000 now, I think looks like, oh, that's all you did. I mean, it's funny because Hall of Fame is supposed to be kind of the pinnacle. And yet you see guys doing 5, 6, 7, $1 million of annual pay or issue paid business over the course of a year, which is absolutely nuts. But in addition to the personal goals, my team goal, as I'm building a team now, we want to be doing 400,000 a month as a team by the end of 2021. So anyway, that's just a little bit about me. Real quick on the in-home presentation, I'm going to just talk about how I got started and what I did to kind of, hit the ground running, if you will. And then I'm going to take you through my in-home structure and what I do pretty consistently in every home. First and foremost, to get started, I know there's a lot of new agents on this call. You got to plug into the training. I mean, there's so much of it. And I'm guilty at times of still not plugging in as much as I could. I mean, I literally could listen to training in between every appointment that I have. And I do that. Maybe not between every appointment, but I do a lot of listening to these podcasts or, accessing things on YouTube before I go into appointments. And I'll tell you what, I've taken little nuggets of some sort of presentation that I listened to, or some, sales training that was out on, like I said, whether it's Facebook, YouTube, whatever, and used a particular line or positioning that I had just literally listened to in the car. It's bizarre that way, but it can help you. Communicate if you want to be successful here. Don't be a secret agent, right? And the reason I say that is because you can feel very much like you're on an island when you're in this business, because it's tough and you're out there on the road, you're by yourself, you're having doors slammed or being told no. I mean, this, can be challenging at times, just mentally. So reach out to your upline, reach out to other agents that are successful, get a mentor, somebody that can guide you through this process. Attend as many of the in-person events as you can. I think we're just now starting to open up and do BDMs and other regional events in person. I think now that, COVID is hopefully kind of going by the wayside a little bit in certain areas of the country, we'll start to do more in-person training. And those are invaluable. I would go to ones in Atlanta. I've gone to ones obviously here in Chicago. I've been to ones in Florida. I mean, they're just important because you get to see the actual big time producers talk about what they do. And it's something that you can absolutely use in your appointments when you get back out in the field. Invest in your business, because guess what? It's your business. This is not a job. This is a career path for you. Well, I hope it is anyway. But again, just think of anything, right? In order for something to grow, you got to feed it, right? You have to nourish it. And how we do that with our business is training, but it's also investment. So don't be afraid to invest in yourself and truly make this your business. Be patient, stay positive. This is like the little rah-rah speech, right? But seriously, be patient with yourself, because this for a lot of you is new. Maybe for all of you, it's new. You have to stay positive and always be learning. I mean, there's so much to this business. It's very simple as far as what we do, meaning the blocking and tackling of buying leads, calling those leads and setting up appointments and going and seeing them. But it's as simple as it is. There's so many ways that you can get better at doing those three things. And that's, and hiring, I guess, would be the fourth. But yeah, just always, give yourself time, be patient with yourself in the process, stay positive and keep learning. And then know your industry. I mean, I didn't know this industry at all. Be a SME. A SME is a subject matter expert. Be a SME, because that'll help you in the home. It gives you confidence. You're the doctor, not the patient. I've got that actually as a line on a separate slide. but I mean, seriously, be the expert when you walk into the home, because you're the one with the license. It's not the people you're seeing. There's key trainers that I like. I mean, everybody has their own sort of, I guess, maybe personal preference, but these are the guys that I've listened to a ton, and they just have a great way of breaking down any aspect of the business, or challenges or issues, or, if you're running into this particular situation, how do you address it? I mean, these guys, as you can see, from Paul McLean on down, these are all Hall of Famers, board members, and the content that is available for each of them is in abundance. I mean, if you go out to YouTube, our knowledge library has some of these people, but these are my guys that I like to listen to, and you may have other ones, and there's lots of them. So I would just, kind of plug into the training of the folks that you really enjoy listening to and that have made a difference in your business to date. So that's a little bit about just kind of getting started and kind of what I did. I threw this slide in here about basically, what's in my bag as far as what do I take with me into every appointment. And it's nothing, earth shattering. Bottom line, I've got all the basic stuff, right? My iPad, my phone. I take a financial inventory sheet with me. I take the carrier credibility sheet, right? With the carrier logos and the kind of buckets that we play in. I take my underwriting guides, even though I know they're on Knowledge Library. I like to print those things out and flip through them. It's much faster, at least for me, than trying to look at a spreadsheet on an iPad, right? Take my business cards, and then the little missed delivery cards. I don't know if you guys are using those, but Geo has a contact that helped me out. And basically, it's just a little card that if you go to someone's home and they're not there, and you can't get them on the phone, or maybe you're door knocking. I've got these little cards where basically it looks like something that UPS might leave behind that says missed delivery. And then it's, got my name and my number, and is it the first, second, third attempt? And, basically looks very professional, right? Like a true delivery, a package. Ooh, I want that package. So they're going to call me back. And they're calling me back. It's kind of wild. But anyway, so I have that card in there. I use also a little, I think it's on Knowledge Library. I don't know if it's not, I can put it there, but we've got a little policy sort of overview / receipt page that I give out when I sell something. And all it does is it just says, hey, here's the carrier that we went with, that we're applying for coverage with. This is the amount of coverage. This is the premium, et cetera. And it's just something tangible that they, can have until their policy shows up, assuming they get approved. I take all of the carrier contact information with me. Never know when I'm going to have to reach out to them if I've got an issue with an e-app or possibly an underwriting question. But I don't typically call the carrier when I'm in the home, but I may call them when I'm out of the home. So I just want to make sure I've got all the carrier phone numbers. Plus, if I have a little bit of a gap and I've got pending to follow up on, or some, the whatever, the house is on fire with regards to policies that are lapsing, or I don't know what, but basically I just want to make sure that I've got all the carrier contact information I need so I can make the most of my time when I'm out.
Give me one of your patients.
Hey, you guys can mute yourself, please.
You say what?
Give me one of your patients, Corbin.
And then the other two things I've got here, guys, paper applications and product brochures. I was Mr. Paper when I started this, meaning I thought I had to have a brochure for every product that I could potentially write when I walked in the home, and it looked like I was carrying a suitcase around my shoulder. And after a while, I heard enough people say, I don't even really give a brochure at the end of my presentation. I just kind of explain everything. I do have an actual policy. Typically, it's an Americo policy that I have in my bag. And I pull that out. Even if they don't have America, I said, hey, this is kind of what the policy is going to look like. So I have that in my bag as well, just as a point of reference, a little show and tell, if you will. But I don't carry in paper applications, and I don't carry in product brochures. They're in my car along with some other documents if I need it. But for the most part, I'm just bringing in the basics, right? And it makes it go much smoother. I think if you can make this as simple as possible and don't overcomplicate it, you're helping yourself. Now, let's talk a little bit about in-home presentation specific to the pre-appointment mindset. This game is mental, right? It'll make you mental. But bottom line is you've got to have the right mindset when you walk into each and every appointment. Well, what do I mean by that? Well, firstly, we're running 6, 7, 8, 9 different appointments, when we're out in the field on any given day. You're going to have a lot of, ups and downs throughout your day, or things that are great or things that aren't so good that happen that you're going to have to just block out. Now, not completely block out. What I'm saying here about refreshing from your previous appointment, you need to reset, if you will, if you had something happen that wasn't great. However, you should be trying to learn from every appointment too. And so it's kind of a fine line, right? What you don't want to do is take any negativity into your following appointment. And it's, it sounds easy. Oh yeah, well, I wouldn't do that. I'm going to just go in and be positive, but you have to really work at that. It doesn't just happen naturally. At least it doesn't for me, because I take this very personally and I try to win and I want to be successful. And I think that, I've got a great solution. When somebody doesn't act on it, it can affect me, right? And I'm just wanting to make sure that it doesn't affect the reason that I'm there. And so why are you there? You're there to help that family first and foremost, right? So I'm continuing to give myself those affirmations about, I'm here to help them. We have great products. I'm going to make sure that they're protected when I leave, and that, you need to do at every turn or at every appointment for sure. Now, the other thing I do before I go into an appointment is let's just recap who we're seeing, right? And again, guys, this may sound real basic, but I know how we are. We get done with one appointment and you're scrambling to the next one, and then you walk up to the door and you barely remember what their name is, or God forbid, there's no way, oh, what's their age, or no, did they say they were a homo? Here's the deal. you want to go in feeling fairly positive about what direction you may be going with these people based on what they've already shared with you over the phone. Okay. Their age, right? You know, if you're going in to see somebody that's young and it's a mortgage protection appointment, you know, stressing the fact that we're going to pay your house off if you die doesn't resonate because young people don't think they're going to ever die, right? So what's most appealing to them? Ooh, it's paying off the house early. Oh, I get rid of those bills early. Cool. Oh, you know what? Maybe it's like I can provide some benefit if I get sick or hurt on the job. You know, that might resonate a little bit more. You're dealing with somebody on a final expense appointment, you know, that is a widow and maybe had an experience where their husband or wife passed away without any kind of coverage. And, you know, that's a different approach. I mean, as much as we want our structure to be the same, and I'll walk you through what mine is as far as how we approach each appointment, everybody that we sit with is unique and different, right? So give them that courtesy, understand kind of where they're coming from, who they are, you know, what we're trying to accomplish. I also, you know, just based on their age, I like to get a feel ahead of time, you know, what we're looking at here. If it's mortgage protection and, you know, we're not going to be putting critical period coverage in place where maybe we're only giving them a year's worth of mortgage payments and coverage, maybe we're covering the whole mortgage. What does that look like cost-wise, right? So there's nothing wrong with doing a little, you know, 5-minute strategy or pregame, if you will, on, okay, what are we looking at cost-wise? Just to kind of give yourself a feel for what that might look like for the client. And I just mentioned it, you know, have an idea on the approach, right? We know if we're going in to talk to somebody that, you know, a couple that's 75 years old, we're not going to put coverage in place for mortgage protection to cover the entire mortgage they have. Most likely it is going to be critical period coverage. Most likely it is going to be something in, you know, sort of a permanent type policy. We're not doing term, but the reason I'm telling you that you should think about what you do before you get in there, it gives you a little bit of calm, right? And we just want to walk in very confidently, very calmly. This is, you know, just very much a process for us to uncover what it is that we're doing there, right? Meaning their why. And then we're going to just provide them with the best possible solution. But getting a feel for who you're walking in to see, I think is important. So that's my little pre-appointment mindset for you. Now, what do we do in the home as far as structure? And I've got 9 different things that I do here, and they're pretty consistent each and every appointment. That's the one thing about structure is that you have to have it. And the more consistent you are with it, the more successful you're going to be. So what's the first thing I do when I get there? Knock on the door, right? It's building rapport. How long do I do that? About a minute. I don't do it long. You know, I always ask about the shoes off or on, you know, when I come in, hey, do you want me to take my shoes off? Okay, great. You know, what am I talking about as I'm going from the door to the kitchen table? Well, I'm talking a little bit about the weather. Like I said, tomorrow, because we're going to get all this snow, right? That'll be top of mind for everybody. I'm just trying to loosen them up a little bit. Hey, I'm not this robot coming in, or I don't want them to feel uncomfortable with this stranger in their house. I'm asking them, maybe, you know, we're talking about the weather, their kids. My God, everybody has a dog. I swear to God. So I always say, oh, what's your puppy's name? What kind of dog? You know, people love their animals, right? So we just engage a little bit, but it's while I'm walking to the kitchen table. I'm not, you know, wanting their life story yet. I just want them to feel comfortable and ask me some things about them, maybe something that they're proud of that I happen to see, you know, as I'm walking to the table, right? Plaques or who knows what, but something that clearly is unique and special to them. Now, after I'm at the kitchen table, and I'll spend a little bit more time about the pain funnel, right? Getting to the why as to why am I there? You filled out this form. And I'll tell you what, guys, when I start my presentation, yeah, I've got my book bag and, you know, all of my stuff, and I pulled this from Eric Schmidt. I don't pull out all of this stuff and have it sitting there like I've got this presentation to give. I have that sole piece of paper, right? So for those that aren't familiar, when you get a mortgage protection mailer, I mean, it's a regular, you know, 8.5 by 11 piece of paper with a copy of what they filled out and mailed back. And so I pull that out. It's got their handwriting on it. And I said, and I put it on the table, and I asked them, you know, tell me, you know, a little bit as to why you filled this out, so I know how to best guide us in this presentation. So step 3, we're going to spend time in the pain funnel, right? Getting to their why. Why did they fill this out? Then I'm going to go into an upfront contract, right? And a little bit of credibility. I'll explain what that is in a minute, but that's really defining roles, right? What's their role versus what's mine, right? And that's what we're going to define exactly what we're going to do today. After I do the upfront contract, we're going into financial inventory. You've got to fill this thing out. You've got to be thorough with it. I'll talk more about that here in a minute. And then I'm going to show them program options, i.e. quotes, right? And I always show them 3, and I'll get to kind of how I do that here in a moment. And then obviously once they, you know, are shown those 3 different options that I have as far as potential solutions, we're going to submit the application. After we submit it, I'm going to confirm next steps with their policy. I never, and let me repeat, I never, and again, well, let me just tell you what I never do. So I never tell anybody they're approved on the spot. I used to do that, but I felt that it was making it seem maybe too easy, or I don't know. To me, and I've heard lots of other guys do the same thing. And I'll get to why we don't give them an instant decision right there in the home. At least that's what my experience has been, that it's beneficial. Just making it a little bit more tangible, a little bit more like, okay, this is going to be reviewed. This isn't like, you know, getting a credit card down at Home Depot, which is you get in 2 seconds, right? I mean, this is a little bit more thorough as far as investigating if you qualify. So anyway, after we submit the request, we're going to confirm next steps with the policy, meaning what's underwriting going to do? If you're approved, what's going to happen? When are you going to get the policy, etc. And then I just reaffirm their decision. If they decided to get this, hey, congratulations, this is awesome. And I'll talk a little bit more about that. But this is the snapshot, guys. My structure, again, it could be different than yours. I have to say one's right or one's not, you know, because this has to be personal. You have to be comfortable doing this. You have to be basically in charge, because this is your appointment. Again, back to you're the professional, you're the one with the license. So you bring your structure. Don't let them dictate that structure, because it just won't result in what you're wanting to accomplish. Plus you want to maintain control of the appointment the entire time. So again, guys, this is my structure. This is how I basically go through each and every one of my appointments. So let's break this down a little bit. So when I say uncovering the pain, and I had gone through some different sales trainings over the years, and there's a certain type of sales training called Sandler sales training. It's world renowned. It's really, really good. And basically, one of the things that they do or teach is that when you're asking a prospective buyer, whoever that is, about something, you need to drill down to find the true answers, right? All of the detail. It's kind of like if you went in and you were going to see your doctor, right? And your ankle hurt or whatever. And the doctor said, oh, what brings you here today? And you say, oh, my ankle hurts. And he's like, all right, cool. And he writes you a script and he sends you out. You'd go, wait a minute. How does he even know why my ankle hurts, or when I hurt it, or is it chronic? Did it just start? Did I do something to it that caused the pain, right? I mean, you know, whatever it is, if I don't ask enough questions, I don't have the real reason why the person invited me to their home and wants to figure out, is there a solution that we have that can help protect their family, right? So we have to drill down. And the way to do that is you just keep asking more questions. I try to ask at least 5. So for instance, if I say to somebody, hey, yeah, you mailed this back to us, right? About mortgage protection. You know, give me a little direction. Why did you fill it out? Tell me about that. And if he goes, I just want to make sure my wife is taken care of. If something happens to me, I don't want her to have to be burdened with the house. And I'm like, oh, okay. Why is that? Would she not be able to stay here? Well, you know, and then okay, where would she go? Who would she have to live with? What if you didn't have this coverage? What would be the plan? What family member would have to come and help her? You know, what would be lost if you didn't have this kind of protection? And you just drill down, right? And it's not hard to do. You just, start to incorporate lines like, well, tell me more about that. Or if they say, well, I need this protection because I want to, make sure that my kids are taken care of, like very general. And then, I sit there and go, meaning, like, tell me more, what I don't understand, or repeat what they say to you. Well, I just want to make sure my wife doesn't lose this house. So it's really important for you, Joe, to make sure Mary doesn't lose this house. Am I getting that right? And you're leaning in and you're engaging and you're making eye contact and you're getting them to the point where they're telling you point blank everything you need to know in order for you to be able to lean on their why. Because really, guys, this is where the sale happens. Because without a why, you're selling a commodity, right? Without it having some emotional value to your client, it's going to come down to the price. And then it's all just about, oh, I can't afford it. I don't want it. Matt Smith always said, hey, when value exceeds price, people buy. Well, when pain exceeds price, people buy, right? And that's my line. And I just feel that once you understand really what the ramifications are, if they don't have this protection, your gun's loaded, right? You got all the ammunition you need to continue to carry this thing through. So this is huge, uncovering the pain, drill down, ask lots of questions. Don't leave this part of the presentation until you're satisfied that you know exactly why you're there. Now, upfront contract, my role versus your role. What does this mean? Well, this is where, okay, remember, I just pulled out that, little mortgage protection sheet they mailed back and they told me why, and we established the why as to, what they need and why they filled it out. Now I'm going to start, quote unquote, my presentation. What is my presentation? Well, I tell them, look, just, as I mentioned, this is before, I haven't said really anything about me up to this point. But this is when I kind of give a little credibility to who I am and what we're going to do and how we're going to do it. And basically, I'm getting their buy-in all along on what the process is going to be. First, I say, hey, just like I mentioned to you guys on the phone, I'm the local field underwriter. I'm licensed by the state. I'm also an independent broker agent. My job is pretty simple. I'm going to just ask you a bunch of questions, a little bit about your health, a little bit about your finances, a little bit more about the mortgage. And that's going to help me understand a little bit more of your situation and what program might make the most sense for you, and also what you can qualify for. Okay. And if we find that that particular plan, we're going to submit it to the insurance company, right? That's what we're going to do today. We're going to pick a plan that basically you're going to feel good about, that's going to be affordable, and we're going to see if the insurance company will approve it. Does that make sense? And I'm constantly asking them, little, what I consider soft closes, right? We're going to submit an application. Does that make sense? Yep. We're going to find something that's affordable. I'm sure that's important. Everybody wants it to be affordable, right? And then, you're constantly getting their buy-in as you go through it. But look at my upfront contract and what I'm doing. I'm giving a little bit of credibility as to who I am. I'm telling them what we're going to do today. I pull out my little financial inventory and I say, hey guys, I'm going to go through this. You can see, this is really all about you. So I'm going to ask you questions about your finances, about your health. I just went through all that, right? And then I'm going to show you some options. And you're going to tell me which one best fits your budget and makes the most sense. And that's the one we're going to send over to the insurance company, right? Now, what I also tell them is that when we submit that application, I'm very clear that what the insurance company does is I explain what the MIB is, right? The Medical Information Bureau. I said, that's basically, I always say, hey, that's like the credit bureau for your health history. They're going to see prescriptions, they're going to see ailments, they're going to see, the things that your doctor may have reported in the past. They do a little check on your driving record, criminal record, and they come back and say, hey, this guy's a good risk or no, he's not, right? And if he says you're a good risk, meaning they're going to offer you the insurance, they're going to go ahead and draft that first premium from the account that you use to pay your bills. I'm assuming that's your checking account, right? Is it? Okay. Who do you bank with, by the way? And you write it down, But basically, I'm telling them they're going to draft from your account as soon as it's approved. And the good news is that it's effective immediately. You're covered, right? All of the concerns that you had before when you were explaining to me why you had me come over to your house are gone, right? So this is, again, just my little upfront contract with the client. This is what we're going to do. This is my role. This is your role, right? This is a team effort. We're going to get it done. Now, financial inventory. I mean, this to me is probably the most tedious thing that we do. And even though it is tedious, you don't want to take shortcuts. And this is an actual example. I mean, you can see my handwriting's terrible, but this is my chicken scratches on a, and I know it says final expense worksheet. Hey, shoot me. This one I'm comfortable with, right? And this is back to whatever you're most comfortable with, guys, use it. And I've been using this for a long time. I just like it because it has the nice little options at the bottom of the page to show exactly what we have for what we prospectively have for the client. But I take my time. I try to really ask every aspect of what the financial inventory is designed to do, which is uncover gaps, which is to uncover income, which is to uncover any kind of hurdle, right, that we may have as we put these solutions together, meaning a hurdle financially. Oh my God, they've got $25,000 in credit card debt. That's another area that we want to address as far as what we're trying to cover, right? I mean, I'm sure you don't want to burden your wife or your spouse with, the mortgage, but do you want to burden them with 25 grand in credit card debt? Probably not, right? So anyway, this is giving us kind of the pieces of the puzzle, right? So that we know exactly what type of solution to put together for them. Now, I asked about income versus outgo, right? That gives me a feel for budget. I love asking the question about retirement. And the reason I do, guys, is, I love it when people think that their work insurance is just, the be all end all. Because what I tell them is that, yeah, it may be okay today, but when you retire, it's gone, right? And so when are you thinking of retiring? Oh, in 7 years? Cool. Well, you're going to have your mortgage for another 25 based on, the refi you did 5 years ago. So you're going to you're going to be basically walking that tightrope without a net. And I tell them that, bottom line is retirement is great and good for you for planning, appropriately for it. But with retirement comes loss of certain benefits that you had from your employer. So anyway, I asked about retirement goals, obviously any kind of existing life insurance, and I asked for the policy. They always say, a lot of times they say, well, I can't find it. I say, I'll wait, go ahead and grab it. And I tell you, I'd say probably, for me, probably half the time, I'm able to find something in that policy, not that we're always going to cancel it, but something they didn't know. And what does that do? Instant credibility, right? I'm helping them understand their policy. And it doesn't mean that I'm replacing it necessarily. Maybe I'm saying, wow, you know what? That's a pretty good policy. Good for you for getting that, 15 years ago or whatever it may be. But don't skip out on, existing life insurance. Take a peek at the policy for them. It endears them or endears you to them. And like I said, it adds some credibility. I asked the golden question, right? Do you have anything that acts like life insurance, right? Savings account. Oh, how much do you have in there? How much are you saving every month? Oh, you got a 401k. Do you max that contribution? What I'm trying to understand is where is there some cash flow that we could redirect, right, into a premium that we're trying to cover the insurance with. So I'm asking, like I said, these specific questions. I also want to know if they've applied for insurance in the past and was denied. And the reason I want to know that is because I don't want to go through all these hoops, right, to find out that, oh yeah, well, they always see something on my medical history, or there's some other reason why they can't. They got a DUI that was a year old or something. I don't know. But at the end of the day, it's important to understand, have they been, are they a serial, applier for insurance? I mean, those are not necessarily our clients, but we need to know that. And so here's where you ask. Obviously, we're talking about health, prescriptions, get the names, look at the bottles. I tell them before I come each, after, for when I'm setting the appointment, hey, have your prescriptions out. It just makes things go much quicker. And they always do, or they got that, printout from the pharmacy that shows every script. And it just makes our job so much easier and faster as underwriters to look at that. Now, what I do with this sheet is that I'm filling out the first couple of sections, right? And then I'm putting down at the bottom my 3 options, right? And for this lady in particular, okay, she was 71 years old. She was a widow, and her daughter and her grandson lived with her in her house, right? And as I kind of did my financial inventory, if you can read any of these chicken scratches here, basically, I understood her why. Her daughter cannot afford that house, and she wants to make sure at any cost that there's enough coverage in place that's going to give her daughter and grandson enough money to be able to pay down, way down the house and allow them to stay there, right? Not displace them. But what I always do when the way I present these options, I mean, it's kind of, this guy told me the other day, and I don't remember this when I bought cars in the past, but this guy said, oh, you do it like a car salesman. And I said, do what? He's like, well, you show me, like I take a piece of paper. It's just how I do it. But I take a piece of paper, fold it in half, right? And I take the financial inventory sheet and I turn it around so they can see it, right? And then I've got my little half sheet of paper underneath each option, option 1, option 2, option 3. And I walk them through the coverage, right? First line item is a natural death benefit. And then if I've got, let's say it's HMS, right? Where there's natural death, accidental illness, and I'm walking them through it. So it's side-by-side comparisons, right? And then I explain that, these products are either permanent or, they're term-based. Here's the but they're getting to see side-by-side. And when I show them the options, I'm confirming each step along the way. This is going to give you, $50,000 of a natural or accidental death benefit. Does that make sense? Do you understand what I'm saying there, Nancy? And she gives me a yes, right? And then I said, oh, and this has $50,000 of an illness benefit. What that means is that if you become critically, chronically, or even terminally ill, right, you can access up to the plan amount, right, with a lump sum payment from the insurance carrier. Right. So this, and then I kind of get into why that's important. But I'm getting their buy-in. Yep. You get it. Makes sense. Great. Oh, permanent coverage. Whoa, that's awesome. Okay. So you're going to have this. Your daughter, more importantly, is going to have this at the point that it's needed. You're not going to be able to outlive it. Does that make sense, Nancy? And she's bobbing her up and down, right? Yep. Makes sense. And then I say, and these are the rates. And I put them in front of them and I don't say a word. I let there be some silence, and that pregnant pause, it's whoever speaks first loses. So I don't. And it's not that I'm trying to be weird or try to make them uncomfortable. But at the end of the day, we want them to make a decision without hearing me chirp. Because if I speak, now I'm the sales guy trying to, make them feel a certain way or tell them why this one's better than that one. I'm letting them choose, right? Here's 3 options. They all do basically the same thing, but with just different coverage amounts. Let them choose, give them 3 options, but make them pick one, right? So anyway, guys, that's the financial inventory. I exhaust this thing, and it's critical that you do it because it gives you, like I said, all of the pieces of the puzzle you need to fill in these 3 options at the bottom. Now, what happens when we get objections? And believe me, I get them all the time. Do I have to make a decision today? I need to think about it. Let's stop right there. I've got other objections too, but I know that everybody on this call has gotten this objection more than once. And it's the most frustrating thing when you hear it. So this is how I approach that. So many of these objections if you address them before you even show them any of the options, any of the quotes, right? You're going to do yourself a favor, meaning you're not going to get to this point and have somebody say, I need to think about it. Because here's what I tell them. When we kind of go through the my role, your role section, right? This is after I've uncovered the pain, the reason why they have me there. And I say, okay, you know, upfront contract, right? Here's my role today. Here's your role today. And basically, I tell them, we're going to find something that makes sense for your situation, meaning it gives you coverage that creates the protection you're looking for and the peace of mind so that you can sleep at night knowing that if something happens to you, you don't wake up tomorrow, your family's protected. But we're going to find something that fits in your budget, right? So it's going to be an affordable plan that gives you the protection and coverage necessary to protect your family. Does that make sense? Yep. So when someone says to me, at this point, I need to think about it, I just stop them and I say, well, I understand. Everything you understand, right? Everything's like, yep, I totally agree. Yep, I understand. I can appreciate that, Bob. Now, Bob, if you remember when we first started, we talked about finding you a plan that was going to be affordable, that made sense. Do these plans, number one, make sense? Okay. So now you're telling me if you have to think about it, you know they make sense, right? Mm-hmm. So they must be too costly. Is that the deal? Is it about price? And that's the good news, Bob. We can actually adjust this. You need some protection. You need something, you know, and go back to their why. Go right back to their why they filled out the form and what they felt was needed to provide that protection, right, for their family. So that, if you address it before you even get to the point of showing them options, that I need to think about it is something that you can avoid. So those are a couple of key objections that I get. Do I have to make a decision today? And I tell them, well, yeah, because what you're deciding on is whether or not this makes sense and it's affordable. If the answer is that it doesn't make sense or it's not affordable, then I'll leave, right? That's your decision today. So you're making a decision one way or the other, right? And it shouldn't be hard because it's very simple. Does it make sense? Is it affordable, right? They don't want to give out their bank info. This one I seldom get now, but that's because in my upfront sort of positioning of the appointment, when I'm doing my upfront contract, I tell them, you know, we're going to find something that makes sense. We're going to submit it to the insurance company. They're going to give us their answer after a few days, right? Meaning accept or decline. And when they do that, they're going to basically access, or they're going to, you know, debit the first premium from your bank account so they can issue the policy and you're covered immediately. Okay. So I'm telling them we're getting their bank account information. So when I get to that point in the application or whenever they say they don't want to give me their bank info, I'm like, well, number one, it's what the carriers require. It's not my rule, it's theirs. Number two, you know, we're not in the business of just throwing applications against the wall to see what sticks, in the sense that we're not doing this, you know, for our health. We're really here to help those where we feel we have a solution. Now, at the point that, you know, we feel that we have one, we're going to submit a formal request for coverage. Part of that request is submitting your bank account information because this policy is going to be issued as soon as it's approved. So you have to pick out the one that you feel most comfortable with moving forward, right? And I'm just stressed. I tell you what, I went round and round with the guy the other day, and he apologized to me afterwards because I wasn't going to back down. I'm like, his name was James. I said, James, I'm confused. You don't have any kind of coverage now. He had a mortgage with no life insurance. It was bizarre. But he was retired and, you know, lost it all when he retired from his company. So I said to him, I said, James, you absolutely have to have coverage. Would you, is that correct? Would you agree? Yep, I sure do. I said, well, these are the companies that can help you do it. And they have rules. And one of them is you got to provide us with what account we can debit each month. And we do it for a couple of reasons. One, they do it as another check of ID, right? So they're looking at social, they're looking at driver's license number and bank account information. But the other thing that they do by putting in your bank account information and setting up an auto draft, we know for a fact that if something happens to you, if you get sick and you forget about paying it, they're going to have that premium auto drafted from your account so the policy doesn't lapse. And the only way we can do that is providing them the information in this request for coverage. So that's what we're going to do. Go grab your checkbook or whatever it is that you have the information written on. I just don't get that objection much anymore, guys. And I think it's because I'm so clear up front, but that's what's going to happen. If they feel that the coverage doesn't make sense, if that's one of their objections, okay, well, I'm going to basically I'm only going to show them things that make sense based on what they told me they need and what they can qualify for. So I don't get a lot of the coverage doesn't make sense. It's usually always tied to how much it costs, right? But then that's addressed in a different way that we already talked about. Have to talk it over with my family or my financial advisor. We get that once in a while. And again, what I would tell you to do there to avoid that, because all these things we're trying to avoid before they actually come up, right? The way that you avoid this one, and you know who you're dealing with. I mean, husband, wife, depending on age, they make their decisions without consulting mom or dad now. I mean, they're mature enough. I think you can make that assumption. But if it's an older, woman or man that, they're single and I always, hey, now do you have to consult anybody about making a decision, or is this something you do on your own? And a lot of times it's no, I can make the decision. But if they need a family member involved, if they need, to talk to their financial advisor or something like that, I'm asking that up front. I'm not letting it get to the end of the appointment and then saying, oh, and hearing that as an objection, because I think it's just BS anyway. They're just kind of blowing smoke to get me out of the house because they don't want to buy anything. I screwed up then early on in that presentation, right? So bottom line, you can address a lot of these up front, but you should know going in before you present anything, how decisions are going to be made, right? And you do that when you do the upfront contract. Hey, if you're seeing another agent, which happens, I mean, it just does, it's reality. I say, oh, that's cool. I tell you what, let's do this. We're going to go ahead and if they're seeing someone before me, I say, hey, go ahead and see them. And then I'll come by and we'll, compare apples to apples and see who, basically has a better program for you. But I also tell them too, you don't have anything until you're approved, right? So we need to submit this application. If I'm sitting there with them and they, oh, I got another agent coming, I want to say, yeah, that's great. But you're not approved for anything yet. These are nothing but numbers on a piece of paper. They don't mean anything until the insurance company tells us that you are insurable and they will provide you that coverage. So that's why we're gonna go. Right now. Well, again, if you're hearing that at the point that you've gone through and showed you didn't do your job right, you should know what is affordable for them. You should know, based on cash flow and so forth. Look around, get a feel. You should know whether or not they have this money, because you're telling them all along money's going to be drafted from your account. So that means money's going to be in your account. I don't want to be rude and say, hey, do you have money in your account? We don't need to say that. At least I don't. But they're going to understand this is going to cost something. It's going to come out of their account, and they're going to need the money now. So I don't get that a lot, but I know some people do. Existing coverage, work or private. Hey, you know what? Show me the policies. In work, I'll take the Pepsi challenge with that all day long, because at the end of the day, they don't have that coverage. Their employer does. It's going to go away. It could go away sooner than they think. But that's an objection I get to, but not all that often. So real quick, guys, when I get done with an appointment, we've submitted the application. Now I'm just wrapping it up. And basically, I want to congratulate them again on, hey, making this a priority, submitting the request for coverage. Way to go. Nice job. I never tell them they're approved in the home. I just don't think that gives as much substance to what we do. Hey, it's got to go to underwriting. They have to review it, right? Fingers crossed it gets approved. That's two. I also show them a policy example. I always have an Americo policy with me. If I don't sell Americo, I just say, hey, you're going to get a policy. It's going to look something like this. And I walk them through a couple pages, just again, letting them know tangibly what they're going to get, assuming they get approved. Again, I explain a little bit about, what the process is. Care is going to make a decision. Premium's going to be drafted, right? Policy will be issued. You get a call from me or my admin, depending on if you guys have an admin or not, letting you know the status or if there's any other requirements. I always give a business card to clients. If somebody wants to think about it and I can't get them to move, I don't give them my business card. I just tell them, hey, I'll leave you the quote. It doesn't bother me. And my phone number's on your caller ID. If you really change your mind, you can call me. I'll come back over. And then ask for a referral. I don't do that in every house. Probably should do a better job at that. But again, we're trying to get through these appointments in about 45 minutes to an hour. I mean, my schedule, guys, is I run every hour and a half for 8-9 appointments, right? So my first one's at 8:30, my last one's at 8:30, and it's every hour and a half after that. So, I'm not trying to sit there and dilly-dally much with my time. I want to get there, understand what we're trying to get accomplished, see if we can accomplish it, and then move on, right? Because I got 8 other people or 7 other families to take care of before I'm done with my day. So anyway, that's a real down and dirty on my process, guys, from establishing rapport and credibility to understanding the why, to doing the financial inventory, showing some solutions, and wrapping up the appointment. Questions? Let me know.
That's awesome, Derek. I love that, man. That's phenomenal training. I'm glad I didn't do that. I wouldn't have done it so well.
Glad you like to train.
One of the things you said that really stuck with me while we wait for any questions, guys, if you have any questions, drop them in the chat and we can answer them. Or if you want to unmute, but one of the things that stuck with me, which is so crucial, is when what you said, when pain exceeds the price people buy. And if we can all get better at identifying that pain point, then it's just taking an order, and so make sure that you're understanding how to do that. And if you don't, we're going to be posting this training. Those questions that Derek listed were phenomenal. And you could review that and be able to make sure you ask. I like your tip too about ask about 5 questions when it comes to uncovering the pain before you move on. Mike Kilman talked about, he used to own restaurants. And he's like, nobody likes soggy fries. And I know I don't. If I order fries and they come out and they're not like crispy, I'm sending them back. Can you put these back in, get them a little bit more crispy? And when it comes to the in-home process, making sure that you ask enough questions to uncover that pain is making it nice and crispy, so to speak. That way, it's just a simple decision of what option makes the most sense, as long as it's affordable, and then we can move forward. So any questions, anybody?
Yeah, I got a question.
Okay, go ahead.
Hey, Derek, what's up, man? Phenomenal presentation, phenomenal everything. I love the way you outlined everything. It was so detailed and to the point. My question to you is that, say you have you have an instant approval in the home, but you say you don't let them know. All right.
Yeah.
So how long do you take before you let them actually know? Like how long before you take to say, hey, congratulations, you're approved?
Yeah, usually like a day or two, maybe. Not much.
Okay, a day or two.
Yeah, what I don't want to have happen either with that scenario is I don't want something to be drafted from their account before they know it's approved. So it's sort of a fine line. But I'm getting back to people within a day or so once it's approved, just so that, again, we're telling them that and then they see the draft come out.
Oh, okay. That sounds cool. So a day or two after, so that gives them a little thinking, like what if I'm approved, type of stuff, like, and then you call them back like a day or two later now and tell them they're approved. Yeah, that makes sense. Thanks, bud.
Yeah. Welcome.
Hi, Derek. This is Jameson. I was just wondering, where can I get that sheet that you have with the 3 options?
I can
Shoot it to me, Derek. We'll get it out to everybody. We'll edit
Okay.
it out to library.
Yeah, perfect.
Okay, thank you very much.
You're welcome.
Hi, Derek. It's Jackie over in West Palm.
Hey, how are you?
Good, thank you. I just was wondering if you can give us like an example of your when you call.
When I call him?
Yeah, when you're making the call, your dial.
Your phone's good.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. It's really simple. So, and it's the same no matter if it's, well, it's a little different for Facebook versus mortgage or whatever, but it's really, it's very similar. I just, ring, they answer and I say, hey, let's say the lead's from Mary. I say, Mary, yeah? I said, hey, this is Derek Dressler. I'm just getting back to you about the form that you had filled out and sent to us about the mortgage protection. This is for your loan with XYZ company. And I'm the local field underwriter for the county. And my job is pretty simple. I just have to ask you a couple of questions here real quick so we can get this information to you. And then I just go into confirming the cost or, the mortgage amount was, how long they have on it. Is there a borrower, co-borrower? Do they work or not work? And then I tell them this, and this is the line that gets me into the home. I say, hey, I don't know if you saw this or not, but these plans are non-medical. And all that really means is we don't have to send a nurse out to see if you qualify, meaning they're not going to come out and, poke and prod and take blood and that kind of thing. Instead, they just send out the field underwriter. I just come over and ask you a couple of health questions, make sure you're not chained to a hospital bed or anything crazy health-wise. Takes me about 10 minutes. And they've got me out in your area tomorrow. Now, do you have any doctor's appointments tomorrow or any other appointments? Let them answer. Oh, you do? Oh, okay. What time? I don't tell them I'm going to be there in the morning or the afternoon, or I've got a 2 o'clock or a 4 o'clock. No. I let them paint themselves into the corner of basically, because if they're going to try to get out of having this appointment, I'm going to just basically say, hey, when are you? Oh, you do have a doctor's appointment tomorrow? Okay, cool. What time is it? Oh, it's at 2. Oh, perfect. Because you know what? My afternoon is shot. I've only got 2 appointments in the morning that are open. I can do first thing at 8:30 or maybe at 11. Which one works best for you? And then nail them down. And then to close it, I just say, okay, confirm the time, the day, and so forth. I said, grab a pen. Let me give you my name again. It's Derek. That's Derek. I drive a silver car. It's 4 doors. Whatever. Now, is that house number at 4212? Is that on the outside of the house or the garage or mailbox? Oh, okay. Is your house easy to see? Like, is it on the roadside? Does it sit back? And then they start telling me how to get there. And I love that because now they're like, again, visualizing me coming, right? Oh, silver car, this guy named Derek, blah, blah, blah. And that's it. I don't know if that was helpful.
Good job. Thanks.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Hey, Derek, I have a question before the next one comes in. When you ask, how do you ask about the income? And then how do you ever have to use that later on in the appointment?
Yeah, I mean, you mean like on the financial inventory? How do I?
How do you ask? How detailed do you get? And do you ever have to use it at the end of the appointment?
I do. I use it depending on the scenario. I use it a lot actually, but I just ask them. I said, okay, now income wise, and if they're retired, I'm like, oh, are you getting like Social Security and a pension? Oh, you're getting both. Oh, great, awesome. Now, what do you get in Social Security? No, this is after tax. Okay, yep, and then your pension. Or if they have a job, I just say, what do you bring in each month after taxes? And they tell me. And the reason and how I use it, Jermaine, I mean, I know you do this too, but if we're talking about a situation where someone's going to lose income, right? And, if it's a couple and one of the spouses passes, I like to, basically do a tabulation of what their total income is. And then if Bob dies, how much income does, Mary lose? If Mary dies, how much income does Bob lose? And, that kind of gives us some direction on, who do we want to put the coverage on and how much? But the other thing too, Jermaine, that I'll do when I know their income, it's like, that in combination with how much are they saving? I had a guy the other day telling me, he was kind of, wavering on whether or not he could afford it. And I said, I said, can I be honest with you, Jim? I said, you told me you save $1,500 a month. $1,500 a month. This plan's $200. I'm confused on how this isn't affordable. I can see your bills. Is there anything I'm missing? You got these bills and you got this much income. You're saving 50. How is this not affordable? I mean, maybe, well, how is that not affordable? And I made them, you know, I mean, because now we know what you know, we get to see, you know, inside the kimono or whatever, and, you know, all that they have, and makes it easy for us to justify, yeah, you can afford it. I mean, if what you're telling me is true.
Yeah. And it's funny because a new agent might feel uncomfortable asking those type of questions, or what are they going to think if I'm asking them this information? And there's two sides to that. One of them is what Derek has said. You're the doctor, they're the patient. And also, you got to consider the clientele that we have. They filled out a form online or they mail something back. They're very trusting people. I don't fill out forms with all my information and, you know, submit them online or submit them via mail to some stranger I don't even know who's getting my information. So because they're trusting people, we have to protect that, and we have to value that, and we have to make sure we take care of them, honestly. And I learned that from Sean Mike. And because they're trusting people, they're going to share because they want your help. And they need your help, because if they knew how to do this, they wouldn't fill out a form online or fill out a form and mail it back. And so never feel uncomfortable asking those important questions to be able to position you to better protect them, because that's your job. And like my favorite coach of all time, I do know a little sports, Derek, Bill Belichick always says, do your job. So,
Yeah.
anything else you want to add to that, or any other questions from anybody before we call this a wrap? This has been great, Derek. Great job.
Hi, I'm sorry. Can I ask a question?
Yes, please go ahead.
Hi, this is Renee. How's everyone? Still pertaining to what you and Derek just said, asking that client in reference to his income. What if you get a rejection? Like they're like, no, I don't want to give that out. You know, do I have to? So how do you go about that?
No, that's a good question. And yeah, there are people that get funny about it. And I just tell them, I said, look, here's what we're trying to do. I'm trying to understand your complete picture financially so that I can make a recommendation that's going to make sense for you. The only way I can do that, Joe, Mary, whoever, the only way I can do that is if I really know your situation. Maybe you don't even need this insurance. I don't know. But until I understand everything about where you're sitting financially, what kind of savings you have, what kind of income, what kind of bills, I don't know what to present. And I want to give you something that makes the most amount of sense to you and your situation. So I'm going to ask you these questions and you're going to tell me the answer. That's what I tell them.
Got it. Thanks.
Sure.
Congrats on your first sale, by the way, Renee. Good job.
Oh, thank you.
All right, guys, with that, we'll call it a wrap. Derek, again, appreciate it. We're going to have this recording out today on the Facebook page. So if you're not in the Facebook page, hop in there. And then, Derek, if you don't mind, shoot me your slides. We're going to post those as well so that if people want to look back on those different tips that you gave. It was, you know, great presentation. Randall's already saying, yeah, please send me the slides.
Sure.
But yeah, guys, let's make it a great week. Let's get to work. This is actually, what's today? Monday. So we're finishing up the last week of January. And this Thursday starts the first week of February. So make sure you're positioning yourself to win big, get into that 20K club. And if you guys need help, reach out, guys. We're here to help you. We want to see everybody win. Let's make it a great rest of the dial day. And also, I'll be dialing live for agents that are new. I'll be dialing live this evening in our Facebook page. You'll get the notification if you're in the group. If not, get in the group and you can watch me dial live and help me book some appointments. All right, everybody. Have a great afternoon.